Welcome to Game of Leadership, the podcast for curious leaders. I'm Paula Eddy Wilcox, and today is the third episode with our wonderful guest who is talking about the pivotal moments that make them the leader they are today. I really hope you enjoy the episode. I can't wait to find out what's in store. Welcome to this week's episode of Game of Leadership, the podcast for curious leaders. I'm Paula Eddy Wilcox, and I am joined for the third and final time, for now anyway, by Nathalie May, going to get it right, body and mind coach for female entrepreneurs. Welcome back, Nat. It's lovely to see you.
Oh, it's lovely to see you too. I could go on forever and ever.
I know.
A episode, please.
Oh, we can do more episodes if you'd like. Yeah, we could do 6, couldn't we? We could do it all over again.
Yeah.
All right, it's a deal.
Good.
Excellent. Well, so lovely to have you with us again today. The sun is shining, not only outside, but through my screen, because you just bring such a lovely presence every time I speak to you. Such joy and such wisdom and such fantastic leadership on many, many levels. And I'm not saying that just to butter you up and make you give us the good talk today, but that is my experience of you. And I'm pretty sure the listeners are going to see that, you know, in the 2 episodes that we've recorded last week and the week before, but also today as you share a bit more about your pivotal moments.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So yeah, today we're looking at pivotal moments, and really these are the moments that we talk about in our lives that perhaps massively challenged us, massively overwhelmed us at the time, but things that we've now moved on from and are at peace with, I guess is the right way to describe it. You know, not something we're in the middle of right now and it's too painful to speak about, but things that we've made peace with, and we're able to see the learnings really in those moments and what they now bring to our leadership moving forwards. So with that, I'm going to be quiet now, and I'm going to let you go ahead and get started.
Well, hopefully you're not going to be quiet for too long, because I love having a conversation.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. We're all about the conversation, of course. I'll chip in as always.
I love that you said pivotal. That's not my favorite word to pronounce, but it's okay. I can do it.
Oh, you did it.
Moment. So you mentioned it in plural. So I'm kind of glad that it's plural, because I had several of them, and I feel like most of us have several of these moments through our lifetime, and there are more to come.
Yeah,
it's okay. And I feel like looking back at it, I had several in my when I was working in the corporate world, because as many of us who own their own business started in the corporate world at one point. And that was the same for me. I was working as an HR manager, or in human resources in general, for over 20 years. I still have a couple of, like a company that I work for in human resources, but just like a few hours a week. And I was always very passionate about supporting people in general. That's why I ended up in human resources, because it's all about the human. Well, that's what it used to be. It changed quite a bit within the last 20 years. That's why I decided to get away from it more and to have my own business. But when I started in human resources, I was more of like in the admin work, and I never really wanted to be a leader or to lead a team. I could have never imagined that. I mentioned that I used to play football, and I was never the captain. I could have never imagined like leading the whole team. And I felt quite comfortable in that position to be like not, I don't want to say normal, but just an employee, just to do the work that needs to be done as well without leading. And I always really put my heart into my work, and this got realized quite quickly. And I didn't have a lot of boundaries when I was younger. I was very encouraged by myself, by my parents as well, and always wanted to learn more, and did another course and got more into the human resources, like the behavior and everything behind that. And I remember a friend of mine and we did all these educational courses together, and we were always the youngest. And that was quite interesting to see that. And I was like, okay, why am I doing this? Maybe I should wait like another 10 years to do that. But looking back at it, I had that inner drive as well to do that. And I was putting myself out of the comfort zone again. You can see like there is a
pattern.
Like a pattern, right? Me putting out of my comfort zone. But it has helped me to be where I am now. And so that's why I encourage people to step out of the comfort zone, however that may look like, because it looks different to each of us, as you've mentioned as well. Long story short, I was working in the human resources, and I got encouraged by my managers and superiors quite a lot to get more responsibility, even though this wasn't my choice. I wanted to do that. And I never really realized that until like a few years back. And I remember at one point when I was working in the human resources, they made some changes, and they asked me if I want to become a team leader. And I was kind of shocked. I was like, me, a team leader? I can't do that. Why would they even ask me? Why would they not hire someone who has already experience in that kind of work? But I decided to go for it, and they had like a leadership program, like an internal leadership program, and I went through the program, and the team members were still the same. So I was a team member before, and then all of a sudden I got out of the team and I became the leader of that team. And I'm very ambitious and I want to do things right, and sometimes this can come across as like a fixed mindset, or in the past it probably was a fixed mindset. I had to learn as well to have that growth mindset that we were talking about as well in the last episode. And being in that situation, I was like, okay, I need to lead the team. I need to be like the authority and step out of the being a normal member of the team. And it didn't work out well, as you might imagine. You could imagine. So this was a really big learning moment for me as well, because I wanted to do it right. In my opinion, it was right. I had to do it this way because I didn't know otherwise. But I had to learn otherwise. And then I just felt that there was like in the team, they weren't happy, and they really showed me that they do not agree with the kind of leadership style that I have. And I could sense that. So we did like kind of workshop, and we were sitting all together in that room. And I told them like, okay, just let's be honest. What's not working well? I know it's a new situation. I was a team member before, now I'm leading the team. And I can feel stuff going on, and you guys not being happy. And I really want to learn and make us a great team so that we can follow our purpose and being the best team for the company. And oh my dear, it was a nightmare. I really suffered during that workshop because they were really honest and open, which was necessary. And I really admired them for being so honest. and it helped me a lot. But at that moment, I was standing there like I really wanted to cry, because it's just hard sometimes to get that kind of feedback. But I was still young, and it was important and so helpful. And and just listening, like actively listen, and not feeling judged. And we were talking about judging a lot as well, in the last episode. But just be there and just listen, and try to understand why they're feeling the way they're feeling, and try to understand my own behavior and reflect on my behavior, and see what I can do better to serve the team, and to work towards a process. And it was really intense, and I felt exhausted afterwards. But we got out the room with a smile, with with a a plan on how we are going to do things differently in the future. And even though it was such an intense experience for me, I knew it was the right way to do, and a great learning process for me. And I know what I can do different now. And we were great as a team afterwards. So long story short, that was really one of the biggest moment in my leadership career, and very intense, but so unbelievable helpful.
Yeah, it's incredible listening to you talk about that, Nat, because it takes a lot of what's the word? Gumption is a great English word. A lot of guts and gumption to and bravery to put yourself out there to a team when you're new to leading. And I think a lot of us can resonate with what you've just said, you know, being a team player and then getting promoted into leading that team, and changing roles. It can be really, really hard.
Yes.
So where do you think you drew the bravery, the courage that it took to make that request of the team?
I think there was just I didn't have any other options, because I knew we were not going to thrive as a team. So I knew like something had to change, and I needed to change, and I needed to be the first person to say like, okay, also to set an example, to say like, okay, I did things wrong in the past. That's okay. I'm only human too. It's okay to fail at some things, even though I don't like the word failure, but sometimes like to learn from things. And I just knew like the only option is to have that workshop and to really work together, being a team player, still being a team player, and not only the team leader. Even though sometimes we have to be the authority, we have to lead it, we have to say, okay, that's a decision, including the team. Absolutely, I'm all about that. But sometimes, at some point, you have to say, okay, you have to make a decision, and even though not everybody agrees, and that's okay too. But I felt like it's the only option to be vulnerable, to be brave, to be open to that feedback. And it was hard. And now talking about it, it still feels like a bit, but I want to encourage everybody else to do the same, and learn. If I can share some of my experience, and if that helps only one person in the world, then I think it's worth sharing it, and being brave again and talk about it.
Yeah. And I love that about you, you know, sharing those learnings, and helping others to see that actually there is the possibility to change. Because you mentioned, I think it was in the previous episode, about everybody having choices. And sometimes it does feel like there are no choices, but actually what we're saying is that some of them are really, really hard.
Yes.
Because, you know, for me, I think there's always a choice in a situation where it feels that the most bleak, but it can be a really, really difficult choice, and we need to get the right support around us, the right
Absolutely.
help. And so thank you so much for sharing that, because again, I think it will resonate massively with a lot of the listeners who've either been there and see that in themselves and took that leap to make that change, or that may be going through that right now, and that will give them the courage to say, do you know what, if Nat can do it, I'm going to give it a go. And it is about opening yourself up to feedback. It feels really scary. It feels really vulnerable, and I've received feedback over the years that's been uncomfortable, and it's really helped me to learn and grow and move forward. So, we're all in it together. Not one of us is some supreme being that gets it all right all the time and is just fabulous. We're all fabulous in our own way, and we're all just trying to be better people in the main, to support others. So that's fabulous. Thank you, Nat, for that. You mentioned pivotal moments, plural. So let's dig into the next one. I'm excited to see where we're going to go next.
I think like the next one, I've got two more. I could share more, but I think I'm going to share two more. Was apart from the corporate world where I was for many years in a full-time job in the HR. Like sports was always my passion, as you may have noticed. Like football, there's a pattern, right? Now being a body and mind coach. So I always wanted to support people on their health journey. So I always encouraged them to drink water. And by the way, I'm also called the hydration police.
Here we go. Yes.
So here we go. I haven't mentioned that yet, so that's kind of strange because I usually mention it from the beginning on. So cheers to that.
Cheers to, we've both, for those of you that are just listening, we've both got our glasses of water. So cheers to that. Make sure you keep hydrated today and always.
Yeah. I'm all about hydration. And I started doing like group classes, like being a participant in group classes, and then all of a sudden, the teacher asked me if I wanted to lead a class and do a course to be able to lead the class, and that was even before I got the team leading position in the HR. And I was like, again, like me leading a class, standing in front of people as an introvert, as someone who's like more like really shy and observing, because I was always the one in the last line in the group to be able to observe everything, never standing in the front. I was like, no, why is he asking me that? And then I did it, and I felt really uncomfortable standing in front of the people, and teaching, and at the same time I loved it. So that was like I had like that overstimulation of feeling like kind of, oh no, I don't enjoy it because everybody's looking at me, I'm the center of attention, and at the same time I was like, but I kind of like it because it's fun and I can teach them something. And usually everybody who attended the class, it was in the like a late class in the evening, everybody attended like arrived stressed and exhausted from their job, and like, oh no, I really had a bad day at work and whatever. And then within 5 minutes they completely changed their attitude, because that was my goal, so that they can just have a good time. And by the end of the class they usually approached me and said, wow, that was amazing, I feel really good now, I can finally laugh again, I forgot all of my stress at work. And then I knew, like, kind of, okay, I think this is one of my purposes. I need, and I don't use that word need, but I felt like I'm here in this word to do that, to encourage people to get away from the stress and to encourage people to move. And then I was teaching group classes for over 10 years. And it's a passion of mine still. And the funny thing is, even now, when I'm standing in front of a new group, I get nervous. I still have that. I don't enjoy being the center of attention. I still see it that way, but at the same time, I feel like, but it's okay because they admire me, and people came to me like, oh, when you're standing there, you're so confident and you've got such a positive energy. But inside me, sometimes there is still like little Natalie from kindergarten, who didn't always have a good experience with other kids, saying like, no, I can't do that. But then I have the other voices in my head that say, yeah, you can do that. You're grown up. You're strong. You're independent. You got this. You did great, and go for it.
Yeah. Listening to you there, that the inner guru and the inner critic, I often think of them on my shoulders. Those little voices inside, and there are very few people I've come across that don't have that. In fact, I'm struggling to think of anyone that I know that's that absolutely confident. Because we often think of somebody who's that absolutely confident that it could tip over into arrogance.
Yeah.
It's a really fine line, isn't it? But that fact that we do, despite despite what we do in our for our jobs, if you like, we still have those little voices inside that say, no, you can't do that. But then what we have to do is get the guru to shout louder and say, you can do it. You've got all this evidence to show that you've been doing it. And you're amazing at it, and people love it. So keep going.
Yes.
And look at what you're doing for those people who come in perhaps at the end of their working day, and they've just managed to drag themselves to class, and then by the end of it they're all saying, thank you so much, I feel so energized and refreshed and able to go and have a lovely evening now as a result. What a wonderful gift you're giving to those people. I think it is just incredible.
Thank you. I see it also like as a privilege to be able to do that, and also feel honored that they trust me to do that, because it's about their health as well. And in the meantime, as a body and mind coach, also like the mental and physical well-being. So they trust me, and giving me that trust is not something that I take for granted. And I feel like that's really nice when you can fill a room with people, or when my clients come and want to work with me and giving me that trust, and they are stepping out of their comfort zone because they finally decided to get that help, and they want to look after themselves. They want to put themselves first, finally, because I work with mostly with women, and women tend to look after everyone else, make sure that everyone else is doing all right, and then we forget about ourselves. And I like the analogy of when you're in a plane, so you have to put your mask first, your own mask first, and then you can help others. Because if you're feeling exhausted and drowned and not have the energy to look after yourself, how can you have the energy to look after your loved ones or your business or your clients? So coming back to leading yourself and making those choices for you as well. And I like the expression, I'm the CEO of my life. So you are the CEO of your life. You have those choices. So you just have to make them.
Yeah, I love that idea that you're the CEO of your life, and if you ask a room full of people, do you see yourself as a CEO? There may be one or two that do, but the majority would say, oh no, I don't, because CEO is like leading some massive corporate global company, in people's minds. But you're absolutely right, Nat. We're all managing complex, layered lives. We've got so much going on. We've got family, we've got friends, we've got challenges that come in left field, we've got work, we may have business, we may have like you said, you're doing the part-time work with the HR business, but you've also running, body and mind coach for, my body and mind coaching. So it's all really so much going on, so much stimulation, and being able to manage all of that stuff that's going on a daily basis for us is a real skill. And a CEO is doing that in a corporate. We're doing that with life, which is, yes, I would argue, is way bigger.
It is. Yeah, it is definitely. And it's interesting because when I remember, I had the first conversation about that with you, actually, because when you were talking about leadership, and we had some really great conversations together, and you actually said to me once, like, you are leading your business, Nathalie. And I was like, am I? And yeah, of course I am. I mean, there is no one else here, so I'm a solopreneur, so I am leading it. So you were right, and this made me think a lot. So yeah, I'm the CEO of my business, but I'm also the CEO of my life, and I make the choices. And something that you've mentioned as well, when you work with your clients, I think you mentioned it in the last episode, that you support them, but they have to put the work in. So they, in the end, have to do the work. You can support them on their journey. You can hold their hand and encourage them and guide them into the right direction. But in the end, everybody else has to do the work by themselves. And this is also something that I talk with my clients about. I can help them. I'm here to encourage them. And this is something that most of them really need, like the accountability, because I check in with them. How are you doing? Why didn't you go for a walk? I like, how is your hydration going? Or I could see like you didn't tick off your workout in the app yesterday. What's going on? Are you all right? Or what time are you planning on doing the workout today? Having that accountability and encouragement and support from family, friends, or peers, whatever, is important. But in the end, you're responsible for your life and for your choices. So do them and put the work in it. I feel like that's really important. And this also reminds me, like, to encourage people to getting back to the pivotal moments. And we talked about it a lot as well. Focusing on something that you want to achieve as well, like having that big picture, but then like taking step by step to achieve it, and not just seeing like, oh, there's the top of the mountain. I need to get there. Just take one step at a time. Maybe say, okay, I'm going to the next stone, or I'm going to the next whatever it is that you can see. Maybe you can see a goat. You say, okay, I'm going to walk to that goat, right? Literally. That's what we did actually, right? When we were hiking together.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
I'm still so impressed about you. Like, oh my God.
Yes. For those that can't see us, and this isn't to insult myself, but it's just to give you an idea of how svelte and fit that Nat is compared to me, who's kind of twice as wide, and that's just because we're different builds. But last year, a whole group of us women went on a weekend away, which was an absolute blast. And as part of that, we decided to climb Snowdon. So yeah, that you tell the story from your perspective, because I probably have a very different view.
Well, it was quite the challenge to do that hike for most of the ladies, or a group of ladies, and the weather wasn't perfect. It was quite, at the beginning it was all right, but then like it was raining and cloudy, and we were getting cold, and we were like wet from, like, totally wet, right? And we had a good time together. But I know that not everybody does hiking, and for me it's something that I've done for like quite a long time, and I felt comfortable doing it. But I know that also for you, it was a challenge because you were not used to do those kind of hikes. It was quite a long hike. It was like, how many hours in the end? Like
Think
7?
about 4.5 going up and
No,
maybe
up
two
and
and
then,
two and a
yeah.
half coming down. Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
It's like 7, yeah, more or less. And that's quite a long hike. That's not something that you do every day. And if you're not used to hiking and all of a sudden you do like a 7-hour hike, that's like, wow, that's so impressive.
Yeah.
And
I can do a couple of hours in the Peak District
yes,
near where I live, you know, up and down, and you know, because that's quite hilly, lots of rocks
yeah,
and stuff like that, but not for that extended period of time.
yeah. And it was going uphill quite steep at the end as well. And then we were cold and wet, and just circumstances were really challenging. And I knew you mentioned at the beginning that you were feeling a bit not uncomfortable, but maybe how did you feel about it? Maybe you can say it in your own words.
Yeah, a little bit nervous about it, I guess.
Yeah.
Because the last time I climbed Snowdon, I was about 25. And I'm not going to say how much.
2 years ago.
Yeah, it's just a couple of years ago, exactly. Yeah, a long time ago. So I'm conscious that the older you get, the more body parts start to not quite work the same way as they used to. And I recently got a friend a birthday card that said on the front, the older I get, the less surprised I'll be if another body part falls off.
Oh, God.
So yes, I was a bit nervous as to whether my body would allow me. I knew the mind would allow me, but it was whether my body would keep up.
Yeah, and talking about that card that you got, it was recently my birthday, and I was talking about on posting something, and it said, "Getting older is like climbing a mountain. You get a little out of breath, but the view is much better."
Yes, I love that.
So really seeing it that way, isn't it beautiful?
Yeah, it is beautiful.
Because it is. And yeah, I was so impressed because I knew like you were nervous at the beginning, and you were struggling physically and mentally during the hike. And at the same time, I can't find the right words for it because I was there. I could see, I could feel the struggle. I could really see like the pain in your eyes, but I also could see the I can't really find the words like in English for it. Like you really wanted to do that. You really like the determination to get to the top of that bloody mountain was so high, and you really wanted to achieve that. And when you got that determination and that passion and that willpower, you can achieve everything, especially when you got like then the group and the encouragement of the group. Was saying like, you can do it. And all of the ladies who were there were like, you can do it. And we took a break, we paused again. And even seeing that struggle in your eyes and yeah, I really felt the pain for you too. I was so impressed to that you just said, well, I'm going to go up to that hill and I'm going to reach the top. I'm going to do it no matter what. And you did it. And I've got just chills thinking about it because I remember like the pictures we took up there, and it's just an amazing achievement you did that day. And I couldn't be prouder of you. So well done.
Thank you, Nat. But I have to say, without you, I wouldn't have made it because you did stick by me all the way. And for those of you that don't know, I was suffering with a arthritic hip. This is why it was such a problem for me to get up the top, because in terms of fitness, you know, fitness levels are pretty good, but it was just my hip didn't want to play on the day, let's put it that way. And it was finally that then dictated the fact that I finally needed a hip replacement, and I'm now week 9 after my hip replacement, and all is well. But I will just say that I don't fancy ever doing Snowdon again. It was the second and final time. I will enjoy the Peak District to the fullest, doing little hikes around here with my dog and my family, and obviously my lady friends. But anything like Ben Nevis or Snowdon I will leave to those that don't quite have the mobility issues that I have. Oh dear. Oh look, I'm conscious that we could talk all day now.
Yeah, but we could. Time is running.
I know, it has been so wonderful to chat to you over the last 3 episodes. Thank you so much for being vulnerable, sharing your true self, sharing with us what you do day to day, how you help your clients to get the mindset, get the energy to stay hydrated, of course.
Yeah.
Hydration, please, and just give time for themselves. It's so important, as we've said before, in this manically busy world that we live in now, where there's so much stimulus all the time, to take those moments and come onto your program, use your wonderful app that helps them track their progress in terms of their fitness and exercise and nutrition and hydration. It's just that what you've created is so needed, and the fascinating support, and I want to say really supportive support that you give to people. You help them see the opportunities and the choices that they can make for themselves to show up for themselves and be better people as a result.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And until the next 3 episodes, because we heard it here first. Can't remember if it was the last episode or today that we said it, but she's coming back for another 3.
I definitely will. How could I not? I really enjoyed talking to you, Paula. It's been an absolute pleasure. Also, like, hearing your wisdom, and I've been learning so much from you, your experience, and I can highly recommend working with Paula. She's amazing in literally everything she does.
I wouldn't go that far. I'm not so good at cooking, although baking, I'm pretty mean baker. Thank you, Nat. With that, have the most wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you again soon.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for having me. Take care too. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Game of Leadership, the podcast for curious leaders. This has been the 3rd episode and final episode for a little while anyway, with our guest, who shared their pivotal moments that make them the leader they are today. Again, I talk about uniqueness a lot. Every guest story and their pivotal moments, the challenges they faced, the issues they faced over the years to get to where they are now, and how they pulled themselves through all of that, makes them the leader they are today, and each one of those stories is unique and different. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat with them and see what that meant for them. Now, once again, it's your turn to reflect on what you've heard today, see what resonates for you, and think about what that might mean for your leadership moving forwards. I'm Paula Eddie Wilcox, and I look forward to welcoming you back next time on Game of Leadership, the podcast for curious leaders. Bye for now.